Hello, everyone. Digital media editor Warren Frey, and I'm with
Katy Fairley,
of.
Fairley Strategies.
Okay, thank you. She's a construction consultant, and we're here to talk about the election and more importantly about construction in the election. So I guess I'll start with no matter who wins on Monday tonight, right now, in fact, as we pre-record this, what does the construction industry need to come out of whatever party that is?
I think the main item is kind of some guarantees and some foresight into infrastructure and and funding for projects. Right now, as we know, no matter who the government of the day is, the money does not flow evenly. It does seem like the parties right now are fairly well aligned with what infrastructure needs to happen. So I don't think we'll see the big cancellations of projects that maybe we have in the past. But yeah, I think some alignment so that that industry knows what's coming and can plan for that.
Okay, now let's assume the Liberals win. There's some continuity there. They do. What have they been doing right and what have they been doing wrong in terms of construction that they should continue to either fix or keep doing?
Well, I think that they have made a solid effort to, engage with and talk to other levels of government. It's not just the federal government that delivers
Mhm.
these infrastructure projects. A lot of times, it's either other public sector agencies or municipalities and the province as well. So, I think that they've clearly made a commitment to infrastructure, but we need to start seeing that money flow, and that's what I would hope happens, if they were to form government again.
Okay, and conversely, if the Conservatives, the other most likely candidates to form government, they've said some things that they want to have happen, and some of that would apply to construction. So, what would you say if they win would be good for construction from their platform?
I'm quite interested in the fact that conservatives are talking about bringing back public-private partnerships. I think that that's something that those of us in the industry might look forward to. It's a very powerful delivery method for delivering major infrastructure projects. So that's something that I would be interested to see come back. I think and we've certainly seen it in BC here, that we have, certain political parties that for, their own ideological reasons, don't support that delivery method. And I think it does take away from the toolbox what public agencies are able to do and how they're able to deliver projects. And we don't have to get into the risk profiles of what that looks like, but that's something that I think would be quite exciting to bring back as a means of delivering construction in Canada.
And speaking of BC, BC might be the decider here. That's what the rumor is, that we're that our votes might be the ones that one way or the other decide this. So, what are some unique to BC problems, or not even problems, but like needs, construction needs that should be addressed by whoever wins?
Well, I think maybe one of the big items for me is the concept of social procurement or community benefits. Obviously, the NDP government here in BC has brought in the community benefits agreement. One could make the powerful argument it's really a project labor agreement. So I think that that's probably something that at least provincially in BC, we'd be looking at is, we know that the federal government, through their major agencies, Public Works and Defense Construction, have been eyeing that idea of community benefits. And so I think that that would be an area that I'm certainly going to be looking at, of where the parties align with that idea of community benefits.
And part of your job as a consultant is talking to various firms of various sizes. What are they looking for in terms of this kind of thing? Like, you can't speak for all of them, but just sort of a ballpark
Um, you know,
sense, what do they
I,
want?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you hit the nail on the head of different sizes. I think when people
Hmm.
talk about infrastructure, when they talk about spending, they're talking about the bridges and the tunnels and the dams and the new highways. Um, uh, you know, uh, and I think that when you talk about construction industry as a whole, you do need to look at the fact that most construction firms are quite small. It's probably the owner operator plus maybe he has an apprentice, some laborers, and not to be sexist, but he has his wife, behind the scenes helping with bookkeeping and that sort of thing. So I think that we don't want to lose sight of those smaller firms that make up the backbone of construction. And I would say I think from where my clients sit, and I will say a lot of them are public sector owners, it's an acknowledgement that construction is not just these big, flashy, sexy construction projects. It's also, the HVAC upgrades to schools. It's, building out a new OR in a hospital. Any of those items can have a tremendous impact to a community, but they're just not as splashy. And I don't think the politicians like them as much, as those big ribbon cutting events that they can have with a new hospital, a new dam, that sort of thing.
And speaking of not flashy but important, I know specifications are a passion of yours, so I'm giving you a platform to address what should people do with specifications, the next government, whoever it may be.
Well, I think, specification, standard documents, CCDC contracts. I think that what we want to see is any political party, anytime that they lead government, they should be using CCDC standard contracts. They should be minimizing their use of supplementary conditions, downshifting of risk to the industry rather than allocating it appropriately to the party that is best able to handle it. As a taxpayer, and all of us probably watching are, I hope, would all like to see our money, spent in, the best way possible, delivering the best value and not downshifting that risk, because all risk is really is money. You can make your best stand to understand it, but ultimately, if you can't, you need to quantify that. And that can add costs to projects. So yeah, I do. I love standard contracts. Yeah, the CCDC, and I think that there needs to be a doubling down by government, by owners in general, into focusing there.
And finally, it's been touched upon by a few of the parties in sort of roundabout ways about the labor shortage and apprenticeship. And as somebody who talks to, like I said, various different companies, you probably see succession planning, or, what needs to be done at some point, because you see a lot of older owners who haven't planned for it, or maybe they have, maybe they are mentoring people who you're working with. Like, what would be your thoughts on how they should deal with the coming labor shortage, which isn't an if, it's a when?
Well, I would maybe, certainly, I mean, it's not even a when, it's here.
Mhm.
But I'd say that, bringing it back to the federal election, is that, we need to see not just promises or pushing down to the industry, again, back to that community benefits idea, of, oh, we want more apprentices on job sites. We want to have more skilled labor. Well, yeah, so does industry.
Mhm.
So do those companies. And I think that we're going to want to see, less talk from government, less downshifting, and more promises to have, more seats in the colleges. So I think for those companies that are trying to transition, that the owner is trying to retire, and plan and have that succession planning, it's going to need to be incumbent on the government, all levels, to to look at what kind of education is out there. And like I said, it's getting more seats in the colleges. There's lots of folks out there who who want to be in the trades, and it takes months, if not years, to get one of those spots in the colleges. So yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of twofold, to try to address that labor shortage and the succession planning for those firms.
Okay, thank you very much.